Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 Multiverse Fundraiser. This is the Cherami Leigh interview. We are so excited to be talking to her today. I'm interviewing her with my co-host Hunter, who is a regular/irregular contributor to Cosplay Cafe, which is part of the Phoenix Sisters Network. And I'm going to pop her up on screen for just a second. Not for just a second, in just a second. Hey, Hunter, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I am doing okay. I am very pregnant. So if I have to mute myself or put myself off screen for a second or something, Hunter's going to be in the trenches for me taking care of things because I didn't know there were so many things. I'm like 7.5 months pregnant that make you not be able to sit still for an hour. So
Well,
not to get too
got
personal.
Something in you not sitting still, so.
It's true. So I'm going to bring our guest in right now. And Hunter, do you mind? We were in the green room talking a little bit about a personal connection that you have with Cherami. Do you mind sharing that with our guests right away?
Totally. I would gladly do that.
Here we have Cherami Leigh. Hello.
Hi, guys. Hello.
Welcome in.
Congratulations. I didn't know that you were so pregnant. That's so exciting.
Yeah. It's coming up really soon.
Is this your first child?
Yeah. So there's all this stuff that I don't know at all.
Yes.
I'm just like, is this normal? And other moms are like, it is, but it doesn't feel normal. It's okay.
Have you done the Google search? I did this the entire time I was pregnant. I was like, I'm having this pain. And you have to type while pregnant, because if you don't type while pregnant, it always says you're dying. And then if you type while pregnant, it says totally normal. And I'm like, that makes you feel good.
Yeah, no, your resting metabolic rate when you're pregnant apparently sits at double what it does normally. So it just feels like you're running a marathon for 9 straight months. I'm like,
The more I hear about pregnancy makes me just so excited for when I get pregnant.
I tell people, like, you never know when you're ready, but you kind of do. Like, I mean, I thought, I was like, I'm ready, and I'm very glad that I waited as long as I did, because I feel like any time before then I wouldn't have been able to fully enjoy and embrace the experience, because my daughter is the greatest gift ever. But yeah, it is. You're like, man, I'm so proud of my body, but also it is not working. But we built a liver today. We built a spine last week. This is very crazy.
And you break your arm, it never really fully recovers.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? It's pretty incredible. So yeah, no, you might not be able to sit still for an hour, but your body's working very hard, and it's very exciting. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, the comment we have on the screen right now is my husband, David McDonald, says, "It's my fault, and I apologize for nothing."
Nor should you. You're going to have a beautiful, delightful child when all's said and done, and it'll be amazing. It is body horror. Also, if you want to read, when I was getting my gestational diabetes test, I thought it would be a great idea, because you got to be there for 2 hours. I thought it would be great to read Cells at Work Baby, the manga, to find out what's happening. No, it's traumatizing. The tiny little cells are going through so much, and you're like, this was a bad idea. I can't do this. But it's a great manga. I just wouldn't recommend reading it while pregnant, because you're just so stressed.
Yeah, I have made some decisions to not watch certain things, and my husband keeps being like, "So we should watch Alien right now, right? With the chest bursters."
We will not.
And I'm like, just like, I'm going to go eat a marshmallow and pretend I didn't say anything.
Totally. Yeah. That's hilarious.
All right. So I'm going to give the screen, not the screen, but the talk time over to Hunter really quick, so she can share with us the really sweet story that she was talking to Cherami about before we fully went live.
Yeah. All right, so this was about 7 years ago, and this is when I first started cosplaying, and I was at a local convention, and I was a huge fan of Cherami, and so I had to meet her. No one had ever taught me con etiquette. In fact, my friends actually kind of ditched me at the con, so I was just kind of on my own. I don't even remember who invited me, but I just remember most of the time I was just alone.
Oh my gosh.
At your first con?
That's hard.
Yeah. So I had dressed up as Kana from Fairy Tail because that's my favorite anime. And I noticed Cherami on the floor and I got like super excited. And I just ran up to her to say hi and everything. Again, I knew nothing about con etiquette. But she was oh my gosh, the nicest person there.
That's so sweet.
And she complimented my Kana cosplay. And since it was like the
Because it
first
was
time I've
great.
ever done it, thank you. I like most of it was pieced together. And the fairy tale symbol on my stomach, I actually drew that with Sharpie upside down. And so that is like,
whoa.
Yes. And I've tried to recreate that and it's not as well as the original. So I'm trying to find like the OG picture I have of that because I'm like super proud of that. But so she complimented it. And after that, I was just like, all right, I'm cosplaying for the rest of my life.
Oh, so, yay. I love that.
Yes. Because
like, I do remember this. And I you're like, I don't remember con etiquette. And like I was telling you before, I'm like, when we're out like shopping, I think it's fun to get to hang out with everybody and talk and say hi. I mean, it's a fun party and a community. So I mean, I guess I don't really know what con etiquette is. I just go to every convention's a little bit different. The only thing that's the same is everybody's excited to be there. And it's like such a supportive, safe environment, which I think is like one of the most wonderful things about the anime video game community is I don't want to, I guess, speak for everybody, but I would say most people have experienced some sort of feeling isolated or feeling like they don't fit in or feeling bullied. And because they've had that experience, everybody is so empathetic and so aware of making sure everybody feels welcome and loved and accepted. And I just think that's like such a gift to be surrounded by so many people. Because I think as a general rule, our culture and our society doesn't always emulate that. So to know that this is like a safe place where everybody can come, everybody's welcome, everybody's loved, everybody's accepted, and you don't have to like the same anime. Like everybody likes different stuff, but they're all just happy to be there and be hanging out. It's such a beautiful place.
Oh yes, and you definitely made my first con experience like the best ever.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Really set up like I got one of my best friends from cosplay. I'm in a volunteer group and I've had amazing experiences through that kind of cosplay. So it's just like you like helped so much set up like so much in my life. And like 7 years later, you're just now hearing about it. So
that's so cool. I love hearing that. But I mean, like, as people will say, like, oh, I met you and then these things have changed. You're the one who did all the work and made it happen. So I'm so thrilled that I get to like see you 7 years later and like hear about all the cool things that have happened.
Oh yes. You're such a great inspiration. You've been like a voice in like so many of my favorite shows and games. And like you've been that character. In fact, my mom pre-ordered Borderlands 2 for me just so I could play as Gage.
Man, you guys pre-ordered it and you guys were confident that I was getting to work on that. I was, as the game was coming out, like texting Chris Sabat being like, am I still in the game? Because I just couldn't believe that I was going to get to be in like a huge game. I thought for sure they would replace me. And I thought the same thing with Cyberpunk. So it wasn't every time I wait until I guess that's a saying in acting in general is like, you could always get cut out of the show that you're in. You could always get replaced. So like nothing is finalized until the final edit is out. And so, I know specifically with Borderlands, I was like, am I still in the game? And he's like, yes. Oh my God, it's coming out tomorrow. We didn't re-record it. I was like, oh, okay. Yay.
You did it, and you did a fantastic job. In fact, as soon as I heard your voice, I was just like,
she's a blast.
She's so much fun. In fact, I'm an engineer, and so
so you relate on many levels.
Oh yes, very much so, very much so.
All right. Sci-Fi Queens says, hello, everyone. Hello, Sci-Fi Queens. They have been promoting the heck out of the Multiverse Fundraiser.
Loved it.
As it's coming up, which is a good segue for me to remind everybody. This year, we are supporting Comicbooks For Kids, which is a charity that puts comic books, like new comic books and comfort items, like pop culture comfort items, in the hands of children in cancer wards and hospitals across the US, Canada, and parts of the UK now. And then when they get more adult or like less appropriate material, they started an offshoot that was Comic Books for Troops. Cool. All the money that gets donated from this event goes directly to them. The Multiverse Fundraiser and the Phoenix Sisters Network that hosts it do not touch any of the money. We're at $276, hoping to get to $1,500 by the end of the first full week of February. So if you're waiting for payday or something like that, we have a little extra time, but it's a really big morale boost to see those numbers go up and know how many kids we're helping. Mark Weiss, who runs the organization, is really transparent. You can watch the video of him in our opening remarks. And yeah, so Cherami, what does the organization Comicbooks for Kids and being part of this event mean to you?
Well, when you guys reached out and asked if I would join, I was very excited about this because every year around the holidays, I usually do a huge toy donation for local hospital or shelter because when I was 6 years old and when I was 18 months, I spent 2 weeks both times in a hospital. And it was really, really hard, of course, for my parents. It was very hard for me. And I vividly remember anytime they come by with that little magical cart full of like books or coloring books or clay or any of those fun things, it's such a big thing to look forward to when you're just getting pricked with needles or stuck in the bed. You can't go anywhere. I was in like an isolation room because I was highly contagious and couldn't have anybody coming in. So that was like the one time I got to interact with people. And I could imagine for such a severe illness and such a long drawn out treatment process, you just need an escape. And to get to jump into these fantastical worlds and to like get to escape into this universe and get to play and get to interact with everybody else, it would be such a necessary thing. So it's not only do you get to create and imagine, but then, you know, it could turn into you maybe wanting to draw manga or getting to draw. And anytime that you could be creative and take your mind off of such a difficult process of being in a hospital is like you said, that's the morale boost that keeps you going because it can be so draining, not just on your body, but on your spirit. So it's everything. I was so thrilled that you guys reached out and let me be a part of it.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
It really reminds people that childhood illness can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a sponsor who it's really personal to him because he spent a lot of time in hospitals as a kid too. It happens to celebrities. It can happen to anybody. And that's a scary thought. So it's at least a little bit of a silver lining to know that there are groups out there who don't know you at all, who still want to try to make this process a bit easier for your kids and then on you by extension, because people out there care. So this cause means a lot to me also. So, we probably want to get a little less serious now, though. I mean, it's January. Everybody's tired. Let's talk about something fun. Hunter and I coordinated to wear our Sailor Moon stuff.
Cute.
Because you voiced Sailor Venus in the 90s.
I do. I have my Sailor Moon cup too.
I have that exact cup.
This was my convention water bottle because I was not drinking any water. And I saw somebody that wanted me to come. They wanted everybody to sign it. I was like, I need to get that. So this was my convention one until somebody got me like a little Stanley that they had etched some of my characters on for me. And they were like, you need a bigger water bottle. You have a baby and you're nursing. You need to be drinking more water and not refilling this every 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. So, but yeah, I get to drink my Sailor Moon cup today.
Nice.
So did you have intentionally coordinated?
I love it.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite Sailor Scout? Was it Sailor Venus?
You know, when I watched the show growing up, because I remember it was on Cartoon Network, my favorite Sailor Guardian was Chibiusa because she was the small one. And so I thought like, well, that's me because we're small and we must be the same. And she was very cute and adorable. When I found out that we were going to get to audition, that I was going to get to audition for the show to do the uncut, unedited dub so many years later, which I never thought was a possibility, I auditioned for everybody. And I think Sailor Venus was the last one that I thought that I would ever get cast as. Like I just did not I guess I didn't see myself as Sailor Venus. And then as we started working on the show, I was like, oh my God, this is totally me. This is totally me. It's totally me. And they said when they were casting it and they sent the auditions over, I had gotten called back for Luna and for Sailor Moon. And they sent all the final, I think they had like 3 to 5 choices for the creator and the production team in Japan. And they said, she heard you say your name, like your slate at the beginning. She said, that's Sailor Venus. I don't need to hear anybody else.
Wow.
And so she didn't even know who I had been called back for, but she was like, that's Sailor Venus. I could tell by the voice and how she says her name, that's who's supposed to be there. So I'm very grateful. And of course, she's right. She's always right. But I'm very honored. And she knew long before I did. So, and as I worked on the show, I'm like, yes, 1,000%, that is who I am. I now have gone through it and done the whole show, and it could not be more me.
Sailor Venus is my favorite too, because she's the like, she's not the highest ranking or whatever. Usagi's the princess, but she's the tactical leader. So in my mind, she's the big sister of everybody else.
She is.
And so I'm always just like, yes, give me that big sister energy.
And she's got such a good sense of humor. So like, as she can be serious when she needs to be serious and like be driven and get things done, but she also like can be very distracted, and is very good with, I also love quotes. I do not misquote as much as she does. I try to get the quotes exactly right, but we all have that in common. I would say the only thing that, I am not boy crazy like she was. I never was as boy crazy as Minako is, but like, that's okay. I was intense in other areas, like my career and like what I wanted to be when I grow up and all of that kind of stuff. So the intensity is still there.
Yeah, no, it's fun and interesting. I love it. Shouldn't matter like if a celebrity or somebody has the same favorite as you or whatever, but whenever it's somebody who like worked on the project, I feel like that's different than just
it feels validating
just because they're famous. It's somebody who has like let me double check our comments over here. Oh,
I did not know you cosplayed Sailor Venus. That's so cute.
Yeah, it oh my
gosh,
cosplay
love
partner
it.
uploaded this for me.
Oh, that's amazing. You look so good. That's adorable.
Thank you so much.
I've never seen your Sailor Venus, surprisingly, with how long I've known you.
I've only gotten to wear it 2 or 3 times. It's always either like the wrong season because it is not warm at all.
No, it is not.
Like all spandex and short. And also a lot of big like let's do all the Sailor Scouts shoots fall through. And so it's like, okay, well, if the whole shoot isn't happening, then I think I'll just do a different costume.
Oh, how cute.
Kelly and I doing Mars and Venus. Cosplayer tip, anime characters, if you want to like bring the photos up to the next level, look for what their signature pose is. Almost every anime character has a signature pose. And if you do that, whenever people surprise you, hey, can I get a picture on the spot? If you've practiced that over and over again, every photo is going to come out great.
That is a great tip. Yeah.
I did that with my,
gosh,
my
so
Lucy,
cute.
actually, at the Huntsville Comic-Con. Or not Huntsville.
Oh,
I forget which Comic-Con it was. But yeah.
That was my daughter's first cosplay with Sailor Venus.
Oh,
I did at 2 conventions. Because Lauren Landa, who voices Sailor Neptune, that was one of the presents she got for her before she was born. So she has since grown out of it, but she got to wear it I think like 2 or 3 times. So we got solid use out of it.
Oh, I never got to cosplay as Neptune before I changed my hair.
What? Oh my gosh!
I had teal hair, and Andrea and I had this whole plan, and I was going to be Sailor Neptune because of my hair, and we never actually went through with it.
They're still
You're just going to have to dye your hair again, Hunter.
Oh, darn. I that was just horrible when my hair was my favorite color. Oh, darn.
Oh, it's so hard when that happens.
Right. I do need to do that though.
Yeah. Do you ever dye your hair crazy colors or anything, or with the acting, is it harder to get away with?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I know some actors do. I'm always so nervous that as soon as I dye it, that there's going to be like a role that comes up and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, why is she have her hair looking like this? Like I have to make sure that I look like my headshots. But I did get cast for a movie and they dyed it like a very, very dark, like that purpley kind of red. It was not purpley, but it was like that really rich purple, rich red rather. And then I also did not take great care of it because in order to do like lots of really cool colors, you've got to be like, it's very high maintenance. So I just like let it fade and then it turned into like a salmon color. And so then we had to get it closer to brown. So then it was like a cherry Coke color. The guy who was coloring my hair, he was like, this is the salmon, this is the cherry Coke, this is so we stayed in that dark brown for a little while. So yeah, I don't know. I would love to have like very dark purple hair or purple lowlights because purple is one of my favorite colors. But yeah, maybe I would just have to do like a washout color so that I wouldn't get in trouble if something came up. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I also read you're like really fascinating. I'm so happy I'm getting to interview
really?
you.
That's very sweet.
We're both really excited to interview you.
Yay! I'm so stoked.
I heard that you learned like kickboxing and horseback riding and fencing and stuff because you started studying to act like really young. And I was wondering, do you really like doing those things? Is that like personal gratification or is that like just about like being versatile for the roles? It's fine if it is, but I want to know which.
Yeah, I know as a child, I always made choices based on acting. And that's also, I would have never gone to a school dance. I would have never done any social anything. I was very much like a reclusive, intense, focused kid. And so my mom would say like, well, look, if you get cast in a character, you would have to know what a school dance is like. I'm like, you're right. I would need the experience. I'll go. So she would like get me to do social things and I was like, I don't want to go to the sleepover. She's like, you need to go to a sleepover in case you need. I was like, in case I need it for a role, fine. So yeah, it's very tricky when you're an actor. They want you to like be a real person. They want you to have a rich life to pull experiences from. So I know that when there were roles that I thought would be very fun to play. I was like, oh, if I ever needed to do sword fighting and something, I should learn to take fencing. But yeah, it was also a fun thing for me to experience. And I got to figure out what I liked and what I didn't like. I fenced with my brother, and that was actually probably the worst thing for me. For him, it was the best. It was like motivating. He was really good and very competitive, but I always lost to him because he was so aggressive. Horseback riding, I did much better with because I didn't need to like compete with anybody. And I was very appreciative that the stable that I went and took lessons at always made sure that we took care of the horse and we tacked the horse before and after. So I got to see really young how much effort and time it took to take care of a horse. Like when you get to ride them, that's not just you get to ride them and then you're done. Like you need to learn to take care of the horse and be appreciative of this majestic creature that has, done all the work and like bonded with you. So that was very cool. I really do love horseback riding. I think it's so incredibly therapeutic. But yeah, it was it started out as like, I just want to have this experience. And then I realized like with kickboxing, I was taking that class and then realized, oh, I really like working out. This is a great like moving meditation for me. And then that expanded into other things like that because I grew up dancing. But I didn't realize like, oh, I could do like more like fitness-based things as well. So yeah, it definitely started out as me just wanting to get experience and then expanded into me finding out more things that I liked in my regular life and then what I didn't. So yeah.
I think it's really sweet, excuse me, that your mom approached trying to get you to branch out in a way where she was including something you already like, which is acting.
Oh yeah.
Like that sounds like, because again, like I'm pregnant, I'm like storing all of these like parenting techniques up here. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. Instead of being like, no, you have to learn how to do more things because I know it's going to be good for you. Like, kids don't know that what's best.
It's so ironic because she did not want me to be in this business because it's a very hard business. It's very hard on your psyche. I mean, you're constantly being told no or you're not right. And so my mom is a dance teacher, so she was used to the dance side of, being in the entertainment industry. Hated it. And I really wanted to do it. And my mom was like, it's very hard. So she would set up all of these, like, putting me in classes with kids a lot older than me to show me how hard everything was going to be. And when I found all of those challenges fun, my mom realized this is just going to be like beating my head up against the wall. I might as well embrace it and support her. So I had a very anti-stage mother in the sense of she wasn't trying to get me work. She was just trying to make sure that she was right there by my side, making sure that she was helping me navigate this industry as healthily as she could and looking out for me, but also being present. And I also had my grandparents that were with me on set if my mom couldn't be there for whatever reason. So I'm very, very lucky, and I would not have been able to do this without having such a present and engaged family, because it is a lot of work for the family to be able to do that too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Hunter, I know I wrote some questions out before, but if you want to jump in with anything that you think of, like,
Okay,
you totally go for it. I'm going to address this audience question first. Hollis Thompson wants to know, which do you enjoy the most, voice acting, film, or stage?
That's so tough. Usually what I'm most anxious to do is whatever I'm not doing at that time. So if I'm doing a lot of voiceover, I'm like, man, I really want to get to work on stage, or I'd really, really love to do more film. If I just finished a play, usually I'm like, get me back in the booth. Usually for voice acting, what's so nice about voice acting is you can do so many characters, like in a week or in a day, depending on what the session requires. But usually each session maxes out at about 4 hours. So you could play 2 characters in the same day. If it's 2 hours, you could play however many they want to book for that day. If you're doing on camera, you really are kind of like locked in to play that character for the 2 weeks that it takes to do an episode, or the month minimum that it takes to do a movie. And they kind of like own you. Like, even on your days off, they're always fluctuating and moving the schedule. So you can't start doing voice acting on your day off to cover things like that. So it's it feels like going to camp. It's such an immersive process doing film. For stage, you could definitely work and do voiceover during the day, and then you would have rehearsals. And then once you're done with rehearsals, like, it's just fun to jump in and do the show. And so it's just they each have their own different process. When I'm doing a play for a long period of time, I usually want to go do a film for whatever reason. But I remember once I was shooting a film for like a month and a half, I was like, I need to go do voiceover. I miss it so much. So it's very hard to pick a favorite. The favorite is usually the one that is being neglected at that time, if that makes any sense.
That makes a ton of sense.
Oh, yes. That's how I am with my job, because I have field work and I have a desk and I have desk work. And so, like, whenever I'm at the desk for a while, I'm just like, okay, at first I'm like, okay, it's kind of relaxing a little bit, it kind of slows it down. And then after a while, I'm just like, I gotta
back in the field.
I gotta go back out there. And then I'll do that for a while. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. Where's my desk?
Yeah, totally. I get that.
Totally get that. So I actually did have a question, and it kind of relates back to something you had said earlier about how when you were in the hospital a lot, and like with the charity and everything, like, you really had to have like a good creativity, and that kind of builds and stuff. Do you think that had a really big hand in wanting to get into acting, or do you think that may have just been like separate?
I definitely think that me having a very active imagination definitely led down that path. I don't know. I probably would have been in some sort of creative field regardless. My mom and my grandmother were very good about taking me outside and telling stories about fairies. And so my mind would wander and be like, well, what is the story of this? How can I tell the story? So I think it wasn't necessarily becoming an actor. It was just becoming a storyteller. If that was like drawing, or if that was doing dance, or if that was writing, but acting was just something that came easier to me. But yeah, I definitely think growing up and needing to, I played by myself a lot. I saw my mom teaching dance, so I would like reenact and do a lot of play with my dolls of doing dance classes or doing auditions and replicating all of that. It definitely fostered this like spirit of play and connecting to my emotions and connecting to my feelings and working through those. And that is something that I still do today. And I think that that's necessary for anyone to protect like the little child in us, is to keep being creative, whatever that looks like, if it's cosplaying or writing or doing, uh, uh, oh my gosh, like Critical Role, tabletop games, like creating things, keeping that spirit of play alive to work through some of the heavier, darker emotions that are really hard for us to reach. We can experience that and work through it through our creativity. So yeah, I think that definitely had something to do with it, and it's something that I definitely continue today with my work.
That's awesome.
We are at about the halfway mark. So if you are just now joining us, or if you joined us late, I just want to remind everybody that this Cherami Leigh interview is part of the Multiverse Fundraiser, which is an all weekend long free virtual convention. And we are supporting Comic Books for Kids for the second year in a row. You can donate at facebook.com/the multiverse fundraiser. There's no D in it. We're not just raising funds, we're raising fun, right? Or you can donate to them directly if you go to comicbooksforkids.org. It's for FOR. We don't touch any of the money, not the podcast network, not the event organizers. It all goes straight to the organization. And if you have any questions about them, again, just go to comicbooksforkids.org. They are wonderful. So that's why we're all here.
Yay.
Yeah. I was actually curious. So I really liked Sword Art Online, and Asuna is my favorite, right?
Yeah. Oh, yay.
So there was one plot line that I am always amazed when an animated medium brings me to tears, because like, I mean,
And that one does it a lot.
It's just a different, I feel like it's a different level of trying to make sure you do things right, to put the animation and the voice acting together to evoke those human responses. So there was a really big plot line surrounding Asuna making friends with the character Yuki Kono, who was very, very ill and using video games as a way to socialize. That was really emotional for me to watch. And I was wondering if you have any really emotional plot lines you remember that, I mean, whether it was the voice acting or on screen or wherever, if it, like, what plot lines like do you remember that stuck out that were really like moving to you?
There usually is like one super, 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 whether it be like emotional, like brings me to tears, or it's super intense, like anger or joy. There's usually one like super poignant moment that I have with every single character that I play. And I usually tell people that's like that moment is like the spark that I go, oh, that's how I got this job. Like, this is where me and the character connect and we're the same. And it's like such a magical moment where, like you said, the animation fits, like everything comes together and you go, oh my gosh, for this split second, we are all connected. We're all one. It's like such a wonderful experience. Certainly in Sword Art, I had many of those moments. The Mother's Zario arc that you're talking about was a really big one. There's a scene that she has where they're saying goodbye, which was such an emotionally intense moment. And it needed to be an emotionally intense moment. And I had worked with our incredible director, Alex Von David, who also does the adaptive writing for Sword Art Online as well. He loves the show so much. He's willing to take the time. He makes sure that every line is exactly in the voice of the character when he's writing it. And then he'll change it up if it feels like it's not working in the booth. And it's so nice to have a team who really puts that much dedication into it. But I remember we were working on that episode and he said, I feel like you're holding back emotionally, and you're not somebody who does that. You're very emotionally, usually we have to tell you to pull back a little bit because there's usually too much emotion, but I feel like you're holding back today. And I said, well, I mean, I'm not doing it intentionally. I don't think so. But let me try again. And he said, well, what's going on? I said, I guess it could be that my great aunt passed away 2 weeks ago. And this is the first time I've ever lost someone that's like that close to me that I can remember and that I had a deep connection with. And he said, Cherami, say the lines to her. And I think he just thought that we were going to say the lines and then we would do the take again and like match the ADR. And we did the take, and I said, I think I might have messed up the timing. And he said, it was perfect. We're going to figure out how to make it work. Like, that's the take. And so it's so nice to have creatives on the other side of the booth that are willing to take the time or willing to say, like, something's not working and I don't know what it is, but I want to make sure that we give this moment all of the attention that it needs for everybody involved in the process. So that was a very special moment for me because it was very personal. But yeah, I've had moments like that with every project that I've worked on. There's certainly been moments like that with Lucy for sure. When we were doing the final season before the 100-year quest, they were counting back like some of the top 5 or 10 favorite fan moments, and every single one of those fan moments I was like, guys, this is a moment that I was like in tears after we left. This is so crazy that we all kind of connect and resonate with the same moments. And then working on Cyberpunk 2077, I definitely had some of those experiences. And Kotaro Lives Alone, I got to co-direct that show and also voice Kotaro, so that was a very immersive experience. So there were a lot of super intense moments with that project also.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can hear it in the roles that you do, and so many other. We have a lot of respect for voice actors at the Multiverse Fundraiser. We almost always have an entire panel that is just voice actors talking about
cool
voice acting. So and Hollis Thompson from the audience said, no tears from the audience, or from the artist, no tears from the audience.
Yeah, I have had people come up to me at conventions and they're saying like, oh my God, you made me cry. I was like, well, I'm glad we were crying together, because I was crying in the booth like a padded room by myself, just sobbing on various projects. I had a moment for Sailor Moon, which was one of my, there's many moments that's happened in Sailor Moon, but I remember it's one of the last episodes that we did in Classic. We call them Classic and Crystal to keep them separated in our minds. But when Venus gets to audition for the idol at the end, and she's like, I don't know if I can do this because I don't think I could do this for the girls. And Artemis is like, no, your dream is important. And so it was like such a really, loyalty is very important to me. Making sure that nobody's being left behind and I'm not neglecting my responsibilities to the people around me in order to pursue a goal or to pursue a dream. So that episode in that moment was like, oh my gosh, so impactful. And it was like one of the last sessions that I did. So it was doubly stressful because I'm like, I'm saying goodbye to Venus. I don't know if I'll ever get to voice her again. And then it's like this super meta moment. So yeah, it was very intense.
I was just going to say that sounds really meta.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be leaving the character as the character is leaving the team to try to go into performing, like role reversal.
It was so intense.
Yeah. Wow.
One of the
I do remember. Oh, go ahead, Hunter.
Oh no, you go, because it's about what we were just talking about. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I do remember that being an emotional one for me too, because I was just like, she deserved to do something for herself. Like, yeah.
And it's not selfish. Like, if you're taking care of your spirit and listening to your inner voice and following your path, then your light is shining brighter and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, so you can help the people that are in your inner circle even more, because you're more energized and charged up. So it's certainly a lesson also that I feel like I have to learn in many ways. And certainly being a mom, you learn that all over again every single day. Like, you have to do things for yourself, even though I hate doing them, because I'm like, no, I should be pouring all of my energy into my child. And everyone's like, I told somebody, I was like, if anybody tells me, put on your safety mask first before I'm like, I don't want to hear that from one more person. I get it, but she's a tiny little person. She needs things. I know they're right, but still. So it's definitely a lesson that I have to learn, and it's a tricky one for sure.
I was gonna say maybe I should rewatch Sailor Moon because I'm learning that lesson right now. And I actually had that conversation with somebody the other day. Put your oxygen mask off first. And I'm like, look, I'm the kind of person that will make sure everybody else has their on first before I put mine on.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't do that. And I'm like, you don't understand.
I've had so many people tell me, Cherami, you can't do that. You're gonna burn out. I was like, I've been doing okay thus far. And they're like, but you're burning out. I'm like, just quiet you over there. I'll make it work.
I'm just waiting for my boyfriend to comment on all of this after we get off of this, because he has been like drilling it into me. I've been like burning the candle at both ends, and I need to take time for myself, and I can't be everywhere all at once. So I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. And then like the real big exhaustion has hit, and I've had some come up, and it's just like, it's almost been like this huge slap in the face. And yet I'm still going, oh no, it's okay. I can go and help with that. Oh no, it's fine. Like I only need 4 hours of sleep. It's
you're literally drowning, but you're like, no, I got it. I could take on a couple more.
You know, I'm just like, no.
I totally get it. Yep.
It's so difficult to get out of that though.
It really is. It really is.
It is, especially like when you're like a really passion-driven person, which I don't think you're going to talk to very many people associated with this event who aren't like, I have had so many opportunities. My team members have been telling me for the past 8-9 months, they're just like, Leigh, if you need to back out of the fundraiser this year, we can. We'll make it work.
To take care of you, yeah.
I'm like, no, I can't. Like, obviously, taking care of like the baby growing inside of me comes first, but I'm gonna find some way. Like,
totally,
I'm gonna feel some kind of wrong, some kind of not right. I don't keep doing the things that I do for to stay connected to people. So it's a hard balance.
It is a hard balance. And especially after the baby gets here, you'll see like, okay, who am I as a mom? Who am I as just myself? And what are the things that are important to me? And how do I find the balance between the two? And from what I understand, we'll be doing that dance till the day we die.
Yeah. We are being joined by Mark Weiss, who is the founder of Comicbooks For Kids.
Hey, can I be one of the girls for a few minutes?
Oh my gosh,
anytime.
Always welcome.
Listen, Cherami, thank you so much for.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thank you for all of the work you do.
I've been watching and listening. Leigh, I had no idea. 7.5. I had no idea even number 1, 2. So this is congratulations to you. On the little one, Hunter, amazing cosplay. So I'm thrilled you're participating. And Cherami, I'm trying to focus on you as I'm listening to your voice, but the behind you, all those items.
My crazy collection of various characters and shows that I've worked on.
No, it's incredible, and it's flattering, and this is what we are all about. I mean,
I love it.
Pop culture transcends age, diversity. It transcends everything. It's something that brings us all together. So I'm personally delighted that you are spending some of your time with us this weekend. And I got to tell you, when you started early on in this hour sharing with us that you were in the hospital twice, at a young age, and I mean, both of them were still somewhat young, and you talked about the cart. I mean, we live vicariously. This is what we hear from. I mean, we never realized. I mean, we did this, never realizing truly the impact that we were going to have. And we hear this stuff. And I want to thank you for sharing that with us and with everyone else.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me. It is like people say, it seems like such a little thing. Like, people say it's just a comic book or it's just an action figure.
Right.
It's everything. When your universe is just your room and you're only able to bring so many items, that one comic book or that one action figure, that is your escape to play it to the world outside of those walls. And it's vital. In
the opening comments I made yesterday, it told a story about a child in a hospital room whose mother was there, and a cosplayer walked in dressed as Batman. And I go into a little more detail and break it up. But Batman goes in, and the mother comes running out of the room screaming, and the cosplayer is mortified, totally screwed something up, and asks the mother, apologizes to the mother, saying, I'm so sorry, I don't know what I did. And the mother looked at him and said, no, you don't understand. My child's been in this hospital room for such a long time and hasn't said a word, and then you walked in.
Oh my gosh.
And he looked at her and he said, what did he say? And she said, Mommy, that's Batman.
Oh.
And I tell that story because it goes right to your point. When that child is in that room and the four walls are all they experience, something pop culture, a comic book, a toy, a coloring book, something that gets them out of that world is enlightening, and it's incredible. So I am incredibly appreciative to Crayley, who has somehow managed for an hour to sit in that chair.
She's rocking though. She's rocking.
Always.
Cherami, thank you again for sharing your stories and just being part of this.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure, and thank you. I'm so excited to hear that if the content is also too much for a young audience, that it's going to troops, which is so amazing.
I guess we figured we didn't have enough to do working, 7 days a week. But someone said, if you're working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, just work evenings. That's okay.
Yeah. That's I think it's the Dolly Parton song. She did a spoof on 9 to 5 that's now like 5 to 9, and it's like when you do your passion projects.
Yeah. So I've already made notes. Don't say put your oxygen mask on first. I've already written that down, okay? Because I do. That is sadly, I do tell people that.
It's necessary. It's such a good way to phrase it. But if you're people like us, I guess, then you're like, I don't want to hear it. I know you're right, but I don't want to hear it.
Well, we just heard it yesterday.
This is somewhat. I don't know if this is a commentary on my social network. Maybe it is, but I tell this story to people and I say, hey, listen, you're on a plane and the masks come down. What do you do with the mask? And they say, put it on the kids. Well, obviously, my choice of people I'm associating with, what can I say? But I mean, there is something to be said that if you are not healthy, you, in whatever capacity that means,
it's true.
You really can't help others.
You can't help other people, at least not to the extent that you need to and can.
Yeah, and by the way, nowhere does that say you need to ignore the responsibilities of parenthood or being a mom. I mean,
yeah.
But listen, I don't want to take away from the remaining time. I just had to come on and thank you for.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure. It's lovely to see you.
It's a delight. Now, I think they will ask you. I'm going to jump the gun here, but are you going to be in any cons or any events coming up?
I do have a few conventions coming up. I know in February I will be in Missouri. In March I will be in Seattle. In April I will be in Vegas. So I have a few shows coming up through December. So we'll be traveling all over with my whole crew. I say my child has the posse, not me. My mom and my husband come with me. Somebody's with me at the table, hanging out with everybody, and then at lunchtime they switch, and I hang out with the baby at lunchtime, and then they take care of her. And so I say I love getting to go to conventions. I don't know if I would be able to do it if I wasn't able to bring the whole family with me.
It's wonderful, and I'm sure they enjoyed it as well.
Yes, they're again they have to look out for themselves, and I tell them, like, if the travel is too much, just let me know. We can always back out on the show. I can go next year, but I need you guys healthy to be able to look after the baby and make sure everything's going fine. So it's been such a blast.
Listen, I'm going to pop off and let Crayley and Hunter, who've done an amazing job and always do, continue, but there was no way I wasn't going to pop in and say hi and just thank you so much
Oh,
for
well,
sharing
thank
your
you.
time with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you
You
for all
guys
you
have
do.
a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you guys later, I'm sure.
I'll be back
Bye.
tomorrow.
Hi, Mark. Carl Witzman stopped by between duties to say hi and to like.
Yay.
Carl has been running around like crazy this weekend. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but he's still taking time to check in with the event.
That's
We
amazing.
appreciate you, Carl.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, events like this, they tend to just really attract, like people was talking about with Mark, where he was like, maybe it's a reflection on my social circle. And I look at our social circles also, where, yeah, we run into a lot of people who are really passion driven and really about like
Yeah.
helping people around them
Helping.
who are prone to burning themselves out. Like,
Well, I guess that means we're surrounded by the right people. So if we need a life preserver, we've got a bunch of people that are willing to help and look out for each other. So we need the village to keep everybody healthy so they can keep helping.
Very
That's
true.
that's true. Like we've all been there. So I think it means something a little bit different when you're talking to somebody else who will burn themselves out and they go, look, I see that you're burned out. And
Yeah.
you go, oh, well, if you're telling me this, maybe I should take a
I've
quick
also
break.
learned that you can't ask people like, can I help? You say, I'm going to do this. Like, you don't give them the opportunity to say no, because you know they're like, I got it. You're like, no, I'm gonna do this. So help me help you.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what we don't need it. We don't need to be asked if we need the help. Just
Yeah.
because we'll say no every time. No, we're fine.
Exactly. Totally.
I actually
Kelly,
thought
our
of another
other
phrase, besides the auction mask one that somebody told me a while back, that you have to fill your own cup first
True.
before you can fill others.
Yeah, you
it's
can't
true,
pour
'cause you
from an
can't fill
empty
from an
cup.
empty cup. That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
no,
true.
Kelly, our other like founding board woman, multiple times leading up to this event has been like, I already did this thing that you were going to stress out about doing. It's done. And I'm like,
What a rock star.
thanks.
My boyfriend does it too. He'll be like, I've already done it. I'll be like, oh, well, I'll get to it. He's like, I've already done it. I'm like,
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
let me
really
audit you. Says, let me help. What's up? Well, let me, if you want to
You can audit us.
invite people to like on any of the platforms or whatever,
Yeah.
Comic Books for Kids. If you would like to donate or share the donate link,
Share the link.
it's
Yeah.
facebook.com/the-multiverse fundraiser. There's no D in it. There's all kinds of ways you can help to get the word out. A little brag on our event here. We actually got the Comic Books for Kids Facebook page up from 2.6 thousand to 2.7 thousand followers last night.
Amazing.
So I just don't think it's a coincidence that happened on the opening night after people went through and started inviting people. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways you can help. Obviously the money is needed to help get the books to the kids and the toys to the kids. But an event like this, one of the things last year when we did this, the call to action that explains that, hey, this organization exists and that's what it does, was played over 2,800 times just in association with this event. And so then people all year round know. I mean, the way Mark got started in this was he was Googling, like, how do I help get comic books to kids in hospitals? And he found out there wasn't really a lot of infrastructure for it. Yeah. And now there is. So
that's amazing.
All
it takes is one.
Yeah. And knowing is half the battle. My husband likes to say the other half is violence, but in this case, the other half is the opposite
generosity.
It's the opposite of violence. It's being violently generous, I suppose. You will know about this organization.
That's completely right though. The awareness, because one person may not be able to help, but they may know somebody who can.
True.
And that word gets around and then, you've got people on board that you never even knew about, and it's circling everywhere.
Yeah. We will be violently generous. I mean, that's very Sailor Moon. We will punish you with love. That's how it is.
Sailor Moon, yes. For those who are only tuning in like audio wise, that was the Phoenix Sisters channel saying, "We will be violently generous" is our tagline for next year.
So yeah, I have a couple questions that I like to ask. Like, voice actors or just,
Sure.
fellow cosplayers, like anything like that. Anytime like I have a conversation with them. But one of them is, which character do you relate to the most? But it seems like you kind of relate to like every character in some way. So I'm going to put that one aside.
Okay.
Was there anyone that like you really, really liked voicing, like more so than others, or were they about like the same?
Oh,
like
I
one
would
that you
say,
might go back to.
Yeah, I think the ones that I get to spend the most time with, I get really comfortable with, and so getting to go back to them feels like getting to hang out with a friend. For some of the ones that I maybe don't think of when I like that, I would say like, oh, I like voicing this character. It's usually because I didn't really get to spend as much time with them. I will say there was one character. There was one day I got to play these two characters for 4 hours. And I never got to voice them again. And I remember leaving the session for both of them being like, this was such a fun day. One of them I got to play a billy goat who didn't know how like aggressive he was with his love.
Oh.
He just like hugged people and headbutted them on accident because he just was really eager to show how much he loved them. Yeah, and he got to sing a rockabilly song, which was very fun. So it was a very fun day. And then I got to go to the next session later that day, and I got to do like a 1940s kind of like Jennifer Jason Leigh character that like talked really fast, and that was in Call of Duty World War II, and I was the quartermaster for that. So I went from doing like kids to like a video game, and then got to do like I got to sing a song and have like a crazy hyperactive aggressive boy voice, and then got to do this fun like 1940s stylized accent. So I was like, this is such a great day. I would never get to do this on camera. I would never get to play a boy billy goat, and I would never get to play this kind of character, much less in the same day. But that was a really exciting day where I got to do two completely different characters, two completely different styles, two completely different genres and projects for demographics. And anytime you get to do something like that, that's a really fun one. Another character that I really loved getting to play, that I don't usually get to talk about. I did an Aldi campaign, an Aldi holiday campaign, and I got to voice a little gnome called Mabel. And that was almost so much fun. They had me and the 5 or 6 other gnomes that were working in Aldi, getting everything ready for the holidays. We were all over the US. So our sessions for me started at 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. So we're all on Zoom, all of us actors getting to act like gnomes and interact with each other. And Mabel had a Jersey accent, which was pretty fun.
Oh, I love that.
All right. Our donations just jumped to $297.
Yay, thank you.
So
that's exciting.
That is exciting. Every little jump. And again, we've got time, but it's still like during the live event is when we see a lot of the big jumps. That's great.
We love that.
We are at the top of the hour. So it breaks my heart to end the recording, but we've got another panel after this. Cherami, do you have a preferred way for fans to reach out to you? Is there a social media that you use or something?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at CLKstar. I am on X at Cherami Leigh. I'm probably more active on Instagram than on X. And I'm on TikTok as well. For whatever the status of TikTok is, I have no idea. So Instagram is probably the best way to reach me. But I usually post things. I'll do some live streams and Streamlies and things like that. But usually the best way to get to interact with me is at a convention. And if you'd like me to come to a convention near you, I think you request the actors at the convention. Hopefully they'll bring us out because I love getting to see everybody and interact in person. It's my favorite.
I want you back here.
I would love that. I missed that convention so much. It was such a blast. It's been almost 10 years.
Right? And I was supposed to meet you like a couple years later at MTAC, and it got canceled because of COVID. And I was just heartbroken. And then when they told me about, hey, would you like to interview Cherami? I was like, oh my gosh, yes, please.
You're like, I've been waiting. Yes.
Well,
I love
I'm
it.
glad we got to make our fangirl dreams come true.
Yay!
I am going to hit end recording now. And
Thank you. Thanks for
yeah.
having me.
No, thank you so much.
The Multiverse Fundraiser is partnering with Comic Books for Kids to raise money for their cause. Their mission is to provide comic books to children in hospitals and cancer centers across the United States, Canada, and the UK. We believe in the importance of providing stories that promote hope and bravery to kids who are facing things that are scarier than any supervillain. And we truly believe in this cause. To donate, you can either go to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/The Multiverse Fundraiser or directly to comicbooksforkids.org.
The Multiverse Fundraiser would like to thank our sponsors: Earth Dog Studios, Clobbern Comics, The Art of Brian Rodman, Studio Moonfall, Elusive Comics, and of course, the Phoenix Sisters Entertainment Network for hosting this event. Learn how to support these businesses on the MVFR website.